5, 4, 3. Hi, everybody. Dugroz here with Dugroz Reports. Welcome to my Saturday morning live stream. I hope each and every one of you is doing well. Today is Saturday, March the 14th, 2026, and I'm reporting live from my house. Good to see each and every one of you. Let's go and see Let us see who is here. LN330 is on board and says, Happy Pi Day. I get that reference. And drops a super chat of $3.14. Celebrate. 3.14159. That's as far as I can go. But yeah, I didn't realize today is Pi Day. Thank you. Tom Graber's here and gifts one Dugroz Reports membership, just like a $3 gift. Celebrate. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Pulling something up here. Oh, that's me. Don't need to read my own comment. FLX New York says, good morning, all. Glad to be here with you. And Nick1828 says, Buenos dias, Senor Dugroz. Buenos dias, Nick. DEM is here. Good morning. What's a Saturday without the delightful tardiness of our fearful show host? A tradition unlike any other. A-tier 50s on board. Matt Clausen says, Guten Morgen. Fargo, yo. Xavier celebrates 19 months of membership. Double celebration. Celebrate. Wow. Coming up on 2 years, Xavier. Thanks so much for your ongoing support. Robert Jarrell is here. Good morning, Duke. It's been a while. That is true. 5, 4, 3. And Travel, Earn, Repeat is wishing us all a good morning. DEM says 2 likes. That's not nearly enough. Ian is here and says, just got back from a strategy meetup in San Francisco. The future is bright. Awesome. I'll have to get to one of those someday. Ian also celebrates 16 months of membership. Celebrate flex. Tag Urit says good morning, and Kevin Hawthorne is here. Are you reporting in live from Lakeland, Florida? Robert Jarrell is, no, not celebrating a membership, initiating a membership. So Robert just became a member. Thank you for the support. $3 a month, cancel anytime. Celebrate. So yes, if you want to support my channel, you too can become a channel member. That's a Dugroz diehard for only $12 a month. Excuse me, I said that wrong. $3 a month, cancel anytime. Watch over 60. I think actually I'm over 65 members only videos now. And I'll come back around to other ways to support my channel in a little bit. 31 people on board. Mike Newland is here and celebrating 12 months of membership. Miles and smiles indeed, Mike. Celebrate. Thank you. I appreciate that. Rupert says, Saturday morning cartoons is for the kids. Me, Saturday morning Dugroz. I think I win. Robert's been a bit off and on. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure you were a diehard in the past, so thank you for any support, whether it's contiguous or like Grover Cleveland, non-contiguous. Jake is here. Jake loves Jesus. Good morning, Jake. All right, well, let's go ahead and kick things off here the same way that we almost always do, and that's with Dugroz data points. Anything in the world of points, miles, cash back that interests me, we'll just kind of go around the horn in that world and see what we've got. First up, earlier this week, Capital One launched a new transfer bonus. It's 30% to I Prefer, which is the loyalty program for preferred hotels and resorts. This is actually not that interesting to me because Capital One transfers to I Prefer 1 to 2, whereas Citi transfers 1 to 4, much better. So even with the 30% bonus, they would have to do a 100% bonus just to equal Citi. But if you were in a situation where you just need to top off, an extra 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 points, and you didn't have any Citi points left, it could be a good topping off strategy, but I wouldn't make it like an ongoing strategy kind of thing. Next data point here. Rove Miles added a new transfer partner this week. It was SAS, a Scandinavian carrier. SAS Euro bonus and launches with a 20% transfer bonus. So it'll normally be 1-to-1, but during this transfer bonus period, which I think goes through the end of the month, correct me if I'm wrong, 20% bonus. Not too shabby. Cesar's arrived. Mi hermano. Good to see you, brother. Glad to have you on board. Nick wants to know if Citi's going to be the only credit card company that doesn't allow you to share points. We'll get to that in just a few seconds. Hold your horses. Thank you for asking, though. Remind me if I forget to answer your question. Spartan of Finance says, good morning from Chile, South New Jersey. And John says, smack that like button if you haven't already. Good morning, John. Good to see you on board. I see 44 people on board, and that's pretty good for only 5 to 6 minutes into the program here. Next, Dugroz data point right here. This is Capital One. And I had mentioned that, oh man, I need to do that checking account bonus. I need to do that checking account bonus. And I keep putting it off, but I finally did it this week. So my wife, Mrs. Dugroz, signed up for this with my help. And it's a $300 bonus. If you have to have never had a Capital One checking account before. Open the account, use this special offer code, set up and make at least 2 direct deposits of $500 or more within the first 75 days. Profit, $300. If you go to this URL right here, capitalone.com/bank/offer300/ I don't have a link. It's not like a referral or anything, but just type that in. I checked about an hour ago. It was still working. I don't know how much longer that will work, but a quick and easy bank account sign-up bonus right there. Let's see. Nick asked the question about Citi and then says horses back in the stable. Thank you. And Sleepy Rod says, I'm escaping some World War III news for some mornings with Dugroz. Understandable. People saying hi to each other. Matt clarifies the SAS bonuses through April 8th, not the end of March. Thank you. I knew you would help me out there, Matt. And again, people saying hi to each other. Ian wants to know how far from LBI. I don't know if that's an airport. It probably is. Geography is cool. DEM says, I'm all good, John. I'm on the treadmill getting ready for a workout, visiting my kid brother in New York. There's some info on Jersey geography. And Samuel Benton is here and says, Doug, you can churn Capital One checking bonuses. It's not once in a lifetime. It's typically once every 2 years. Thank you, Samuel, for the information. That's really good information. And I'm sorry, I just assumed it was once in a lifetime or just misremembered. But secondly, thank you for being a diehard. I appreciate it. Haven't seen you in a long time. At least it feels that way. DEM says, my family has a house in Ship Bottom. I'm assuming that's a town and not a mode of transportation. Move along here. Sometimes I do a Dugroz Eats segment about my dining habits. I stopped in at a restaurant in Des Moines. It's on the south side, close to the Des Moines International Airport, called Skips. So if you're ever flying into DSM, check out Skips. It's actually in an old house. I'd never been there before, so decided to stop in. Here's a picture of me sitting at the booth, and here is my food. They call it a steak sandwich. Got a Dr. Pepper steak sandwich, some ranch, fries, onion rings on top. I normally don't like oniony things, but this one, all allowed. It was pretty good. Actually, really good. So steak sandwich, I think with tip and everything for one person was like $37. So not the cheapest meal, but not the most expensive, kind of in that middle range. Next Dugroz data point here. Doctor of Credit lets us know. By the way, all of the data points so far are hat tipped to either Doctor of Credit or me. Citi is ending points sharing on 5/16. Okay. Now we can take the horses out of the stable, Nick, and go to your question. So as I understand it, what this is referencing is person to person. Did I just disappear for a moment? Up until now, she had the ability to transfer points to me, and within 90 days, I have that amount of time to use them. As of 5/16, that's not going to be an option. You can't send Citi points from a person to another person. As I understand it, the ability to share within your own cards is still available. That's called combining points or points pooling. And that reminds me, I need to call Citi and say, hey, please add my Strata Elite to my points pool, because right now it's in a separate pool with my other 3 cards. It's kind of a dingy day, which is why I look kind of pale, but let's all ignore that part. So now I will address your question, Nick. Is Citi going to be the only credit card company that doesn't allow you to share points? Holy cow, my image just disappeared. Anybody give me a quick technology report if I'm cutting in and out or if it's just the way my screen is working? I would appreciate that. All right. So I don't think that's the end of the world. I've seen a few reactions and thumbnails of the like variety on YouTube. Unfortunate, yes, that shouldn't be the way companies operate, but they're just going American Express. I'm going to blow my nose real quick. Okay. Robert did say my camera went fuzzy. Sorry about that. I did reset the modem right before I went online, so I don't know why that would be the case, but there you go. Let's see. There's a few comments people just talking about their geography or saying hi to each other. Juan Garcia is here. Juan in the MIA. Thank you for being on board. And Robert did say I was frozen for a moment. I was cutting in and out. Video's fuzzy. Doesn't Amex allow your authorized user to transfer points to the AU's loyalty account? Yes, they do. That's a correct statement. But what I mean is like, I can't send Amex membership rewards to my wife, nor can she send it to me. As far as the 5 major programs and sharing, Chase will let you share with another person, but they have to be in your household. Now, I found out that, at least in my case, my mom and dad are in my household even before they moved into the nursing home. I think just our last names were the same and our zip codes were the same, so that helped. They didn't put up a fight. But within your household, American Express doesn't allow any sharing at all from membership rewards to membership rewards. Capital One allows it, but you have to call in, so that's kind of annoying. Citi does right now with a 90-day limit, but very soon will not. Wells Fargo is actually the best. You can share with anyone anytime. You just got to know their credit card number. Just go to their portal, type in the credit card number of points you want to transfer, push a button, and you're good to go. Nick says, I think Citi should have just gone the Chase route, made it household only. I agree with you. Actually, I think it's dumb not to allow sharing. I think anybody should be allowed to share points with anyone else. Now, I know someone's going to say, well, Doug, this is an effort to prevent points brokers from doing their thing. Well, then figure out a way to stop that. If my friend Mike wants to say, hey, I'll give you this amount of money for 10,000 points, we should be able to do that. Or I just want to give it to him, you know. Shame on you, everyone except Wells Fargo. All right, let's keep moving on here with Dugroz data points. 42 people on board. I don't know how many have clicked the thumbs up button, but if you would do so, I would really appreciate it. Here's a personal data point, and I don't want to get into political discussions or anything about World War III, but it involves gas prices. So last week, before gas prices went up a lot, I had managed to stockpile some Hy-Vee fuel saver rewards or fuel perks or whatever they call them. And I got it up to $2.10 a gallon. So that brought me down to 88 cents per gallon, which even with a discount of $2, you wouldn't be getting $2.88 or $2.89 or 99 or whatever it was now. But I was pretty proud of myself for getting a big old discount on that. I'm sorry, I said it was Hy-Vee. This wasn't Hy-Vee. This was Quick Star, also known as Quick Trip in Minnesota and Wisconsin. Quick Trip, Quick Star. There we go. LN330 said, agreed. Citi just threw a huge monkey wrench into my upcoming Player 2 strategies. Yeah, it's actually dumb in that it kind of hurts them because, like, I was thinking about, you know, someday Mrs. Dugroz will open some Citi cards. Well, now maybe not. Nick says, I'm still trying to be good and not apply for a new card in the next 6 months, but I'm not as eager to dive into the deep end now with Citi. I agree with that. George Rommel drops a super sticker for $1.49. Celebrate. Thank you. He knows that anybody who donates exactly $1.49 as a super chat or super sticker, as displayed on the screen, gets 1,000 Dugroz points for free. So, boing, there you go, George, all yours. All right. Next comment here. Excuse me, not next comment. We're ready to talk about different ways you can support the channel here, and I'll try to keep it pretty brief. One of them is by using the tip jar. So if you look in the URL, not the URL, look in the description box of this video, the very first line is a URL for the tip jar. And that would be if you would rather support me either anonymously, because you don't have to leave your name, or if you just want YouTube to get a smaller cut of the revenue, whereas YouTube takes around 30%, tip jar only takes 2 or 3%. So I get to keep more of it. Your name won't show on the screen because I don't have any way of doing that without giving your secret identity away. But I will read it out loud a couple times during the program, anybody who left a tip jar tip. And then you can always, do what George did and drop a super sticker, super chat just right there on the YouTube interface. And that's amazing. You can become a Dugroz diehard channel member, only $3 a month. Cancel anytime. You can also donate a Dugroz Reports membership. That's always appreciated and helps lots of people find my channel, just like Mike Newland just did. Mike Newland donates 20, count them, 20 Dugroz Reports memberships. Kevin, celebrate. Thank you so much, Mike. You are the GOAT, the greatest of all time. I really appreciate that. Just as good as a $60 super chat. Thank you. And then last but not least, another way you can support my channel is by getting a good night of sleep. And if you think to yourself, that sounds unlikely, my favorite mattress is this one right here. It's the Sparrow Signature Hybrid Mattress from Nest Bedding. And I used to do mattress reviews on my alternate channel. There's a picture of me doing one when I had a lot less gray in my beard over 6 years ago. And my wife and I have slept on this mattress. It's the one that won the contest. It passed the test of time. For 6 years, we've been going strong. And I like this particular mattress. It changed its name. It used to be called Alexander. Now it's called Sparrow for a couple reasons. One is because they have a lifetime renewal exchange. There's like a 2 or 3 inch thick layer of memory foam on the top, and you can actually unzip it and swap it out. Most mattresses, it's sewn in, so that's not an option. And once in the lifetime of the mattress, that's completely free. There's a 365-night risk-free trial period where you can send it back for an exchange or full refund during the first year. And then it also has a lifetime warranty. So here's my more recent video where I reviewed it after 6 years. I've got a link down in the description box for that. If you're watching this after the fact, one of the very best ways you can support me is just go to that video in the description. Not you who are on live, but those who are watching the replay, pause this video, go to the description box, right-click it, watch it in a new tab. It's only about 3 minutes long, and then come back, because that tells the affiliate relationship people that lots of people are watching that video. And of course, if you click a different link down there or in this video to buy the mattress, I get a commission on that. It's not sponsored. It's an affiliate type thing. So I would really appreciate it if you considered doing that. You can't use Rakuten and my link at the same time. You have to pick which one of it gets credit. Even if you buy it with Rakuten, contact me, tell me you got the mattress, and then I'll give you an email you can send to them, and they might give me half credit or something like that. Or at least they know that somebody's watching my stuff. Here is a picture of something else that's going on in the mattress department. What does this mean? Yep, I got a couple new boxes in the mail. So there's going to be some new testing. Same mattress, just a different format. We're considering going, 1960s sitcom style and getting separate beds that are right next to each other instead of one big bed. So that's something we're just thinking through here. Done with the how to support me segment, and let's move back into Dugroz data points. So this is a data point of a personal nature here. I bought a flight via KLM. Actually, it was Flying Blue. And I just wanted to prove that if you use the new and improved Chase Sapphire Reserve, you do get 4X on flights. If you look right down here, 4X on flights, $112 and change. It was only $28 because this was an award ticket. I used KLM to book a domestic flight here in America, and it was like 10,000 points or something like that, plus $28 in taxes and fees. More details later in the show, teaser, about where I'm going to be traveling. By the way, the theme of the day today is my favorite things travel edition. So this is just me giving a top 25-ish list. I didn't actually count it out of my favorite things in my travels thus far. I've been traveling on points and miles since 2019. So it might be like my favorite rental car, my favorite scenic vista, my favorite hotel deal I've ever scored, my favorite mode of transportation. It's kind of light and fluffy today. Some of it is right squarely in the middle of points and miles. Some of it's points and miles adjacent, but you'll like it if you want something lighthearted and from yours truly. So stick around to the second half of this live stream and you'll get to see that. I need to catch up on comments here. George said, at least Amex and Chase allow you to transfer points to the AU transfer partner account. Yeah, that's true. Maybe Citi will launch that, but I'm not holding my breath. FLX of New York says 1,000 Dugroz points are worth a lot. They are. I mean, I can get you 5 or 6 slices of KC pizza, maybe. Mike Doolin says the obligatory donation. I hope it doesn't feel too obligatory, but never expected, but always appreciated. Thank you so much, Mike. John says, Mike. DEM says, goat pepper. And FLX says, you're very kind. I agree with that. Christian wants to know, how are the gifted memberships selected? Nick says, I believe it's random. You have to have in your settings to allow gifts. So something I found out is that if you have multiple YouTube accounts, you can only activate it on your master account, which is kind of ironic because I first started with my Dugroz mattress reviews account, which is now called Driving with Dugroz. And then I later added Dugroz reports, and then I later added Dugroz nostalgia. And I actually activated the ability to accept gifted memberships, but I can only accept them on Dugroz. So you'll never see me getting a free membership as Dugroz reports. It'll only be as Dugroz. And then funny enough, it was either Mike or somebody else donated a membership one day, and I got a free membership to my own channel. Dugroz, you are a member of Dugroz Reports. Ooh, thank you very much. I think it also has something to do with how often you watch, how often you comment. So the more you comment, the more likely you are to get a gifted membership, because I can't see it through StreamYard, but when I'm watching other people's live streams, you can, like, based on how often you type or like or respond to something, you get points. So it'll say, like, you are number 12 out of the top 25, something like that. I think it has something to do with that, but I could be wrong. Nick says, we using the word improved loosely, I see. I don't remember exactly what context I mentioned that in, but I'll take your word for it. LN wants to know, does anybody know if Wells Fargo allows transfers directly to an AU's loyalty account? Or do Player 1 and Player 2 need their own Wells Fargo cards to do transfers? That I don't know. I've only done 2 or 3 points transfers with Wells Fargo. I have that old Golden Ponies card, which has the superpower of getting 1.5x on flights in the portal. So that's how I use most of my Wells Fargo points. I have transferred to partners before. I think I transferred a few to Citi. No, that doesn't make sense. Choice. I transferred a few to Choice. Oh, that was in reference to CSR. Yeah, I said the new and improved CSR. I was using it very loosely. Please, sir, can I have my old CSR back? Filmo's arrived. Hey, Doug, I missed your last few lives. Glad to be back. Speaking of Golden Ponies, I actually did a live where I showed you a picture of the new Golden Ponies card with the less good ponies. So you'll have to go back and catch that one. Thanks for being here, Filmo. And Filmo celebrates 28 months of memberships. Now, I'm not a professional mathematician, but I'm pretty sure that's more than 2 years. Chad's Money Minutes here says, yo. Christian says, I've had the CSR for 3 years, booking hotels in Italy, and all of the Edit hotels are mad expensive. Yeah, the Edit, I think it's fairly priced. It's just that they're really expensive hotels. So that's like saying, if I bought a Ferrari for $50,000, is that a fair price? Yeah, that's a very fair price. Is it still a lot of money? Yeah, still a lot of money. I don't even know. That maybe some of you know about cars might be laughing right now. I should have said 100,000 or something like that. Next Dugroz data point here that is of a personal nature. So I hit a milestone here. This is the pizza pan I bought before I was married in the summer of 2000. and my wife finally replaced it. Here's the new pizza pan. Slight contrast in color there. So yeah, that pizza pan has gotten use for 26 years, 25, 26 years. So time to get a new pizza pan, Doug. And I finally did. Ian says 28 exclamation point. That's how long Filmo has been a channel member. All right, now let's go into a segment called What Did Bilt Screw Up This Week? There's a couple things. One is Bilt has, people have been noticing on their Bilt cards, if they spend outside the United States, that they're getting charged a 0.2% foreign transaction fee, despite the advertisements saying no fee. And this is hat tip to Doctor of Credit. So as I understand it, MasterCard charges everyone a 0.2% foreign transaction fee. It's just that when you get a no foreign transaction fee card, the bank usually eats that fee. In a few cases, they don't. And it's basically like Cardless didn't know that was going to happen, and it just started happening. And it says Bilt response here because apparently Doctor of Credit reached out to Bilt, or somebody did, and Bilt's like, oh, yeah, sorry about that. What we meant is it really will be fee-free, and we're going to work with our banking partners to get this resolved. Don't worry. In the future, you'll get your money refunded, and we'll make sure that it's really fee-free from now on. Well, that's good that they're going to make it right, but a little concerning, like, did anybody not take this into consideration? It just feels like a lack of planning. And then fellow content creator Joe Barretto with the Credit Card Connection did a video a week ago called The Bilt Problem That Caught Me Off Guard. And I'm going to try my best to summarize it here. But basically, when he got his Bilt Palladium card first statement, it said the minimum payment due was the same as like whatever the normal minimum payment due, like $40, $50, plus the annual fee added together. And what's weird about that is most credit cards, the minimum amount due is not like the annual fee added on top of it. So he called into Bilt and talked to both the regular representative and asked for a supervisor, was on hold for a really long time. And they basically said, yeah, we don't know why that's happening. Sorry. Do you want us to call you back? And just to clarify, yes, you should always pay your credit card balance in full every month unless you're doing a 0% APR strategy. So I actually put a comment on Joe's video that I think helps clarify what's going on here. So I'll just toot my own horn and read this. A lot of folks seem to be missing the point, which isn't always pay your balance in full. The point is that if a customer service representative can't explain something this simple, nor can their supervisor, there's a huge training gap in customer service. And if they're unprepared for this, what else are they unprepared for? I should have said that Joe did reach out directly to somebody at Bilt by email, and they said, yep, just the way we've set it up is your card member fee is added to your first statement on top of the minimum amount due. But the person in the call center didn't know how to explain that. If they're unprepared for this, what else are they unprepared for? I suspect moving from a big bank like Wells Fargo to a much smaller issuer like Cordless, that should say Cardless, is going to cause some major headaches. The question is, how much terrible service are we willing to put up with to get the benefits? Great reporting, Joe. So, yeah, I've just been kind of concerned about Bilt and maybe a little bit happy that I'm kind of sitting on the sideline for now and letting other people be the early adopters until they get all of the kinks worked out. But other areas of my life, like customer service, if someone doesn't do what they say they're going to do on something little, what are the odds when you have a big problem, they're going to step up and do what they say they're going to do? Got John saying hi to Chad. Chad saying hi to John. Christian says this: I was able to use the Strata Elite and the Bilt Palladium Hotel credits easy. Any CSR tips to use those credits? I'm assuming you're referring to the hotel credits, the edit credit. I actually did a standalone video that was something like the edit, is it overpriced, question mark, or maybe it was a live stream. So if you look through my history, there's a few things in there where I tried to find less expensive hotels, although it's not like a magic bullet or anything. I also know there's a website that's like Find My FHR. Somebody made a Find My Edit, and I'm not sure what the URL is. It's something like that. You might want to poke around a frequent miler and see what they have to say. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, let me know. John gifted 1 Dugroz Reports membership. Celebrate. Thank you so much, John. That's just as good as a $3 super chat. I appreciate your patronage and faithfulness. FLX said, your comment about Bilt could easily be left in regard to Citi. That's a valid point. Worst customer service experience I ever had was with Citi. Mike says, I've had 0 problems with my Bilt account. The problem with problems, you only see Bilt's name when there's a problem, not when something is not going wrong. That's a valid point, Mike. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and we put up with a lot here in the world of points and miles in terms of like, we'll put up with a fair amount of bad customer service to get good value. I mean, shoot, that's why I'm still a Citi customer. If I wasn't willing to put up with it, the question is, is this an indicator of overall stability? Maybe, maybe not. And I think it's perfectly valid. It's perfectly cromulent to say something like, you know what? I'm going to earn Bilt points while they're new and fresh, while they're still getting their venture capital money. I'm going to burn those points. I'm going to transfer them out to somewhere else. And if they crash and burn 2 or 3 years down the road, meh, it was a good run while it lasted. Nothing wrong with that mentality whatsoever. I've heard other people say, and I really don't have a strong opinion either way, Bilt makes a lot of their money by selling personal data to data brokers. Like, the reason they let you pay your mortgage is because now they know what card you're using, when you pay, how much your house is worth, those kind of things. And they're collecting a lot of valuable info. Is that true? I don't know. Do I care? Not that much, because lots of people have my data. So maybe they are super stable and making billions of dollars from that. I don't know. What do you think? AZ Fox is here and says, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Mojo. Good to see you on board. We are almost done with the Dugroz data points. We're kind of thin on data points today. There's not a lot of them. Not a lot happened in the world of points and miles this past week that was not all that exciting. But here is the final Dugroz data point. This is from Wells Fargo. I took the screenshot on my phone. Sorry, it's hard to read. Check your Wells Fargo deals. There's one for dining. Earn 20% back on your My Wells Fargo Deals dining purchase. And this, at least in my case, expires on March 22nd. Use any eligible Wells Fargo debit or credit card to shop and earn cash back. 20% cash back up to $10. So you could spend, I think that's $50 and get 20% back, which would be $10 to maximize that, if my understanding is correct. The way Wells Fargo deals work, and I actually kind of like this, unlike American Express, they're not linked to a card. It's any of your Wells Fargo cards. So like if you had both the Attune and the Autograph, you could activate this and use either of those. Now, fair warning, I have the Wells Fargo Signify, which is a business card, and I have found, at least on one occasion, but I actually think 2 occasions, for some reason it doesn't work on a business card. So if you're logged into your personal card and activate it there, it probably won't work on your business card, but it should work on any personal card. That's my experience. Can't guarantee it would work that way. Anyone else, let me know if you've had a different experience. Where are we? Ian says, waited a few weeks and ended up getting the Bilt card. So far, so good. Mortgage payment was easy. Got a lot of points so far. Guess it's fine as long as you don't need to talk to someone. That's probably how it is. And if you're kind of deep into our community where you read Doctor of Credit, you log into Dugroz reports, listen to Dugroz data points, so you kind of know what to expect when you see like this weird 0.2 foreign transaction fee, those kind of things. If you know what's going on, you're educated, it's not so bad. I would have a really hard time recommending this card to like my neighbor or a normie because of all these things. FLX says there's definitely been a learning curve for Bilt, but it does seem like they have a desire to make things right when they go wrong. I wonder what Amex was like when they first started. Well, when Amex first started, we were still delivering things by ponies, so a little bit different situation. But if you go back to like, I don't know, 60s when they had paper credit cards, they were probably figuring things out. Mike from LA is here. How you doing, Mike? Says, I wonder if Bilt knew what they were getting themselves into with cardless. That decision alone may hasten their downfall. Not sure how much of a choice they had. Well, from the rumors we've all heard, they didn't have a choice with Wells Fargo. If they hadn't negotiated an exit when they did, they would have been kicked out. So yeah, I don't know who would. I mean, Amex isn't going to touch with a 10-foot pole. Wells Fargo won't. Chase won't. None of the big issuers will. So they probably didn't have a lot of choices. Nick says, if Bilt has my data, I'd appreciate 20x for Disney World. LN says, I have no Bilt 2.0 issues so far, but I'm kind of dreading the day when I need to contact customer service. Mike says, Wells Fargo dining desk is one-time use, so make sure you're close to $50 on that meal. Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate that. I actually already used it, ate with a friend yesterday and used it with that, and then he reimbursed me. So that worked out well. It wasn't right at $50. It's going to end up being 40, 42, something like that. So I'm not maximizing, but oh well. AZ Fox says, which card, Venture X, Sapphire Reserve, or Citi Strata Elite would you say works better? Family of 7 and not much a flyer more of hotel stays, maybe Marriott Boundless. Ooh, you have a family of 7, Mojo? That's awesome. Congrats. Unless you are really high earnings, like you bring in more than $250,000 a year, I would probably say the Venture X is best generally. Citi Strata Elite just doesn't offer enough for my style of travel. I'm very family oriented. I do fly some, but also a lot of hotel stays. So Sapphire Reserve's too complicated, too big. So yeah, I would say Venture X probably works best in that sense. I know, the whole lounge thing, you only get one person unless you pay more, but Citi doesn't even have their own lounges, so there you go. New Again says, hey, yo, good day to all. I'm just waiting for a scathing New York Times piece or the like to be published about Bilt. We'll find out. Christian Z says, has anybody else been making payments to Bilt to keep the balance down? I still don't have a minimum and a due date. Interesting. DEM says, I'm along for the Bilt roller coaster. It's been working as expected for me. According to the Bilt AI, I'm at a 5.7x multiplier inclusive of rent day transfer bonus. Oh, it gives you a little overall thing? Interesting. DEM says, which other cards can give you that while gardening on all spend? None. So yeah, I think if you're doing a one card strategy and avoiding sign-up bonuses, Bilt is a good choice. Christian says, Citi gets 12x on hotel bookings in the portal. Easy credits, $200 at Best Buy or AA, $300 hotel credit. Well, I hear what you're saying, Christian, but I'm going back to Mojo's thing about family of 7. You can get almost a good hotel mile with the Citi Strata Premier, the $95 a year card. And they have that $100 off $500 credit. Keep in mind, in order to get these credits, you have to pay $600 up front. So you're still kind of in the hole. The hotel credit I would not value at the full $300. But if you want to do like a one card solution, it could be worse. FLX says, my Build Obsidian has been a point earning monster. I will put up with a lot to earn the kind of points that I've been earning. I hear you. Do you think you can keep it going? Do you think they can keep it going? Hey, 71 people on board. We cleared the 70 threshold. And we are done with Dugroz data points. Thank you, everyone. We're going to be getting into the theme of the day any moment now. I do need to check the tip jar. We're clear on that. Okay. So it's time for the theme of the day. But before we get into the theme of the day, we're going to do the thing that we all know about. It's called the bathroom break, or sometimes we call it the intermission. Sometimes we call it the biology break. But basically, I'm going to go potty. You're going to stay here and listen to some copyright-free music and just stare at the wall. I'll give you a topic to discuss too, and then I'll come back. So please don't leave. For the topic, we can do this. What is the best win you've ever had? The best win you've ever had in a credit card portal, not transferring out points, but like Wells Fargo portal, Chase portal, Capital One portal. What's the best win or value you've ever had? Go and share your story and sit tight. I'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes. Here we go.
He's up before the sunlight, print out on the nightstand, rented Chevy in the driveway, cooler rattling, coffee in hand, 2-lane highway welcome signs slide past in a lazy blur, county line static on the dial, he's humming like he always does. Every day on the road again, living large on a little spin, rolling free cause the points all paid, every motel bed feels first class, made from waterfalls to marble halls, he's cashing in what the plastic gave, he's a quiet king of getaway days on miles and credit card river wars, pulls in under that red roof, Casey's buzzing in the heat, grease-stained box on the dashboard, thin crust heaven on the passenger seat. Oh yeah. Chatty kid at the counter says the park's just up the hill. He nods, grabs a fountain, drinks, smiles wider than he ever will. Every day on the road again, living large on a little spin, rolling free cause the points all paid, every motel bed feels first class, made from waterfalls to marble halls, he's cashing in what the plastic gave, he's a quiet king of getaway days on miles and credit card reward. Raincoat flapping at the overlook, mist on his glasses, shoes gone damp, reads the plaque by the empty grave, maps the past with his folded map, pork chop special at the corner bar, neon clock saying 4:30, he toasts the day with a tired grin, already dreaming of one more. Every day on the road again, living large on a little spin, rolling free cause the points all paid, every motel bed feels first class, made from waterfalls to marble halls, he's cashing in what the plastic gave, he's a quiet king of getaway days on miles and credit card reward.
All right, I'm back. Thanks for the 64 people who hung in there. I will now catch up on the comments here. Oh, lost my place. I'm sorry. Diddly diddly doo 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 doo. Oh boy, truckloads of comments here. Here we go. Okay. Mike from LA says, you think the Bilt Palladium finished the use case for CSC at 1.5? Hard to imagine picking it up over the CS Citi Strata Premier now. Yes, I do. Sorry, I had to think through what you meant there a little bit. For some reason, I was thinking of the CSP, the Citi Strata Premier. I got mixed up. Yeah, Citi Strata Elite gets 1.5 on everything else, but none of us should be using it for that purposes. All I got to do is get a double cache. But if you're in that kind of world, unless you really need the transfer partner Citi has specifically, like you might need American Airlines. I'm actually going to get to that someday, but not today. New Again says, family of 7 go cash back. Cash back only takes you so far, although you do need to mix in some cash back for sure. Mike says, you think Bilt Palladium 2X diminished the use case for CSC? Hard to imagine picking it over the CS Premier now. Yeah, I think I already answered that. Riffraff EH says, I agree with DEM. The Palladium card is perfect for gardening. It works like a charm. I've gone 2 straight months with no new cards. Yeah, I would agree with that. What credit bureau does Bilt pull for y'all, says New again. DEM says, agrees with Mike depending on your transfer partner needs. DEM says it boils down to how you redeem your points, what you're looking for in your setup. Nick said it was Experian. Christian Z says, I'm gardening with the Bilt Palladium and the Strata Elite. I will wait 6 months to get another Citi, either the custom cash or AA card. Brady Smith's on board. How you doing, Brady? Good evening from Tokyo. Ooh, Tokyo, Japan. We'll catch the replay. Enjoy the land of the rising sun. Riff Raff says, I'm not sure, but I got approved at 1724 LMAO. Christian Z says, that covers United AA and other transfer partners. Oh boy, we have to go back here. If you go with this setup, that covers United AA and other transfer partners. Okay, I hear you. Bilt transfers to United? Maybe it does. DEM says CSC is a great card, Christian. I have it as well. Future Citi Custom Cash still have a prestige and there's too much overlap. Ali says, hi, home again after miles and points trip to Maui. Ooh, Maui. Hello, Hawaii. Garfield Hawaiian special. Planning for big trips and cruises using all the tips and tricks I learned here and elsewhere. So glad you keep out the data points. I'm glad to hear it, Ali. That makes me happy. Thank you for sharing. Aviendha 1976 says, Kimpton, Tyrone Park, Charlotte, North Carolina, edit plus the IHG credit, 1 block from a Sapphire Reserve exclusive restaurant. Cool. Okay. Well, if I'm going to Charlotte, North Carolina, I'll check that out. Ellen says, I froze my credit reports between approval and acceptance and didn't get any hard inquiry. Your mileage may vary. All right. Remember I said during the intermission, give me your best story from a credit card portal. Source King says, paying the same dollar amount as the Hertz portal for a rental car in the Aeroplan portal, but being charged in Canadian dollars. Oh, I see what you did there. And when you pay Canadian dollars, it converts to American, you pay less. So like I helped a friend buy a ticket on Aeroplan and the fees were like 125-ish Canadian, but only 70, 80 American. That's probably exaggeration, but that's the idea. Thanks, Source King. Celebrate. Ian says, no real big wins in the portal, just the standard use of the $300 Venture X credit every year. Recently used it in Vietnam for 2 nights. Okay. Did it fully cover or mostly cover the 2 nights? I've heard people say Southeast Asia is less expensive. Still asking an opinion there. Dad on a Mission says, great music. Glad you liked it. Marsuth is here. How you doing? Capital One portal, when they had a travel sale in the fall of 2023, I booked my hotel in Paris during the Olympics, $813 for 3 nights. Well, hey, that was some good foresight. You booked in 2023 for, wait a minute. The Olympics we just had was in Italy. So that must have been the last Summer Olympics in 2024. Still, good job planning ahead. And that seems insanely reasonable for the Olympics. DEM says, you're a bit annual fee heavy, Chris. You might want to consider Strata Premier in year 2. I agree with that. Ian also likes the tunes today. Jake Loves Jesus says, this is a bop. Jake says, I'd love to have this song myself. DEM says, why isn't Dugroz serenading us himself? I was in the bathroom, that's why. Christian Z says, I'm getting my wife a Strata Premier since I won't be able to transfer her points from the custom cash and double cash to me. I think this will be my last year with the CSR unless Chase does something drastic to be more competitive. I have heard of a few people still getting the old $550 annual fee at renewal. Hopefully that haps. I'm cool like that. I abbreviate word. Hopefully that haps. New Again says, that's Doug singing, though. Doogie and the AI boys. Citi Strata Premier is a very powerful card for Citi. I agree with that. Jake Loves Jesus says, hey, Dugroz, where can I listen to this song? Haha. Okay, I guess a lot of you have finally figured out what I was doing here. So I got an app on my phone recently. I don't even remember what it's called. Avelo, Suno, Suno, that lets you make AI-generated music. So I haven't gotten very far into it, but I just typed in like middle-aged dad who likes traveling, likes Casey's, likes country roads, make a song. And it made a song for me. So I uploaded it. Ask me that outside the live, and I'll try my best to remember how to share it. I can't think of a good way right now. So go on to any of my videos and just put a comment on there. Christian Z says, I could add the Citi Strata Vanilla. Yeah, you could. Jesus Chris is here and drops a W for the algorithm. DEM says, new again, haha. And DEM says, musicians will be obsolete someday with AI. Yeah, a little afraid of that, to be honest. DM agrees with Mike. Dong Kim, how you doing, Dong? Good to see you. Can't stay for the entire show, but here to like and we'll listen to the replay. Thank you so much. Nick said the best credit card portal win I had was Chase when they had the price for a rental $300 less than it truly was, but they honored the price and I used the 1.5 cents per point redemption. It ended up being almost 5 cents per point. Mistake fares are awesome. Tiger Maple says, hey, Dougie Fresh. Nice to see you. Hope you have an awesome Saturday. Thank you. Good to see you. It's been a few weeks, Tiger Maple. New again responding to DEM says, LOL, imagine thinking real art done by real people will ever become obsolete. Obsolete's probably not quite the right word. My wife and I went to the Des Moines Symphony late last year, and just the feel of being in the room, just, you know, the walls reverberating, that'll never be able to be replaced. But if you're, you know, the next Britney Spears, it's going to be a little harder. Tagurit says, using the Capital One shopping portal with StubHub on the CSR. Good idea. FLX says, I don't have a portal win. However, I just booked a Hilton resort in upstate New York and got 0.95 cents per point. That's really good for Hilton. Juan is here, and Juan's already been here, sorry, and says, I locked in on the old $550 annual fee on my CSR until October. Great. One Kevin P is here and drops a $5 super chat. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you, Kevin. Booyah. Thank you. Just joined the watching live while on a plane club. Well, hey, what better to do on a plane than watch the live? I appreciate it. Where are you headed? All right. You know what time it is. It's time for the theme of the day. So we're going to head and dive into that here. Today we're talking about my favorite things, travel edition. But before I dive in, I'm going to take a drink. I'm going to hit mute. I'm going to cough. And then I'm going to give myself a 5, 4, 3 countdown because I might release this as a standalone. Haven't decided yet. Please give me 30 seconds of patience. To answer that question, Zizis, I will be making an announcement at the end of the theme of the day, so stay tuned. All right, I need to go full screen, slideshow, all that. Here we go. 5, 4, 3. Today's theme of the day is my favorite thing, travel edition, from my camera roll. In other words, from my phone, or in other words, things that I've actually done in person. This is going to be pretty obvious. We've got about 25 things broken down by categories. And I'm just going to tell you, for this thing, this was my favorite. This is not one, but for example, in this picture here, if I said my favorite butte, B-U-T-T-E, not but, my favorite butte was this overlook in central Wisconsin. It was a state park. I don't remember the name of it. But let's dive in. Natural scenery is the category. I'll take natural scenery for 200, Alex. Favorite lake. My favorite lake that I've seen is Llyn Crefydd in Wales. That's basically just Crafnet Lake in the Welsh language. It was a very serene lake we saw on our trip last summer, kind of in the hills. You know, there's sheep grazing there. There's some little monument there, which is like in the 1800s, the wealthy landowner donated this lake and its fresh water to the people of the nearby town. It was just like something out of a storybook. And look at those fluffy clouds. I know I've said it a jillion times before, but if you ever have a chance to go to Wales, do it. Favorite waterfall, might ring a bell if you follow along with my channel much. Blackwater Falls in West Virginia. This is the largest waterfall in the state of West Virginia and one of the largest waterfalls in the country. Obviously, it's not the largest. That would probably be Niagara Falls, but very scenic, a lot less visited than Niagara Falls. When I was there, it was in April, mid to late April, 2-3 years ago. And the creeks and rivers were just, really swollen. So there was a large volume of water falling over the waterfall. And it was just chef's kiss good waterfall. Next, favorite scenic drive. By the way, as I'm going along, if you want to guess what you think I'm going to say, by all means, feel free to put your guess in the chat. But I don't want to wait too long. Otherwise, there'll be awkward gaps between category and answer. My favorite scenic drive was the mountains of Puerto Rico just this past November over Veterans Day weekend. I joined Cesar Joel and a lot of you down there in Puerto Rico. And on my last full day there, I took a couple hours in the afternoon just to grab my rental car, be the dad on the road again, and head up into the mountains of Puerto Rico. Just, random, no particular map, no particular destination. And it was just extremely beautiful, extremely crisp. I didn't have a camera person with me, so I had to use my selfie stick. I wish I'd had a better quality camera. All I had was my phone, which is not the best, and I'm going to try to replace it in the next couple of months here. So if you want to drop a super chat to donate to the phone fund, by all means, feel free to do so. I should have said this earlier. 80% of whatever you donate is reinvested into my channel with things like a new phone to take better pictures, and then 20% goes to my family budget, because let's face it, this is a part-time job. Oh, had a little glitch there. Favorite view from lodging, and this might sound a little repetitive, but it was in Wales, the Lundy Lodge in Wales. This was the first time we went there, so I've traveled to the United Kingdom twice. I've only done 2 international trips, and they both involved the UK and Wales. 2023, this was booked through cottages.com. Unfortunately, last I looked, this property is no longer available with Cottages, which is a huge bummer, but the property still exists on other platforms like Vrbo or Airbnb. And it was purpose built to have a good view. Now, I debated this because our more recent trip to Wales just last summer also had an amazing view, but this is called favorite view from lodging. And the reason this one won is because if you look at that top right picture, it was purpose built with big picture windows, and they're the double fold sliding windows, so they kind of accordion out. So all 4 of those window panels, you can push them right up against the wall and just have the fresh air of the rolling hills of Wales coming in. And look at that view. Man, I'm angry that I can't be there right now. That was so beautiful. The clouds are so fluffy. We got sheep's bang and all of that. All right, well, before we get into the next category, I'll pause for a moment and catch up on comments here. Went over that. We went into that. Okay, Kevin's, thank you. Ziz, I'll get to that at the end of this. Vincent Pascal's on board. Thanks for being here, Vincent. And celebrates 18 months of membership. That's a year and a half. I'm also back after missing a few live streams. That's okay. I appreciate you being here. Celebrate. Thanks, Vincent. I see 66 people on board. That's a little on the lower side. So let's keep on clicking the thumbs up button and or make a comment and or a super chat or something to help drive that algorithm a little bit more. Sorry, I'm just refreshing the tip jar to see if there's anything in there. Nope. Okay. New Again says, right on, Dugroz, but Britney Spears and her ilk isn't art, it's human slop, so perfectly understandable what AI makes them obsolete. Yeah, that's right. Buy good records like Nelson Riddle and Lamento and the Carpenters. Real music. Luke says, support Doug. I'll watch it later. Busy Saturday. I don't know why I said Doug. Doug, I'll watch it later. Busy Saturday. Hi, Luke. Hi, Carlos. Hi, Mrs. Luke. Hope you're all having a good Saturday. FLX in New York says, Dugroz, we have many waterfalls for you to visit in upstate New York. I saw one of them. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. It was very beautiful. Sometimes it's just luck of the draw. Like the day I went to Blackwater Falls. Speaking of black, I'm going to take off my outer shirt and only use my undershirt because I am warm. Sometimes it's luck of the draw. The day I went to Blackwater Falls, the weather was beautiful. The day I went to the waterfall in upstate New York, it was cold, probably in the high 30s and windy. It had just stopped raining earlier that day. So it might be just dumb luck. Who knows? I'm going to turn on my fan. If the fan gets too loud or distracting, just let me know. Cesar's excited because Puerto Rico made the cut. Sure did. Best scenic drive. Arizona Fox says, with the rules to Citi, Strata, Elite, and CSR for the welcome bonus awarding, is it better to go for those cards as opposed to the Citi Premier or CSP welcome bonus? I would go for the Citi Elite if it's still giving the 100,000 just because it's bigger. In terms of like which one's better, I don't know. You're gonna have velocity issues with both. I would, if you've never done it, I would probably go for your Chase Sapphire card, one or the other, whichever has the bigger sign-up bonus first, then go with Citi. But both of those are going to be tricky because they both have, Chase has 524 probably, and Citi has velocity rules too. New Again says, I hear you, Doug. I was supposed to have moved to England last month. There's a delay. Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome. You're moving to the UK. Top of the morning to you, governor. I love the UK. All right, where were we? Resuming the theme of the day. In 5, 4, 3. I better do that again, otherwise a cup will magically appear in my hand. 5, 4, 3. Travel experiences. The name says it all. Favorite airport. My favorite airport is the Göteborg Landvetter Airport in Sweden. And the reason I chose this one is because it's not like the lounge in the airport, it's just the airport as a whole. And when we flew there a couple years ago, it was just super clean, super organized. In fact, you see in the bottom right, I took a picture of a toilet in the airport just because the bathrooms were all like single stall, one holers, wall to ceiling privacy, good quality lock on the door, super clean, never had any sort of cleanliness or organization issues. Everything was well maintained. You can see there in the terminal, there's like hardwood flooring. It's very personal instead of being like industrial. It just felt very homey. I would love to have this as my own airport. And there was also a really good Priority Pass lounge there. It was sort of like, we got there early in the morning, like 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning to catch a fairly early flight over to Paris, where we then had a layover and flew home. And they kept the lights kind of low in the lounge. It had like a whole couch to ourselves with some cushy chairs, and you could look out the window and see the planes. And it was just really peaceful and nice, like not stressful at all. So yeah, good job, Sweden. Source King, paging Source King, still on board. Next, favorite flight, and this is the experience, not like booking or using a good combination of points. And that goes to flying on KLM from Minneapolis to Amsterdam. That was that very first international flight that I took. Maybe partially because, it was new, flying business class first time. But the flight attendants, I might say stewardesses by accident, they were all ladies, were just super friendly and like engaged in conversation with you. They give out those ceramic houses in the bottom right, the Delft houses. Now that's just a picture of some wallpaper, I think, in the bathroom, but you know what I'm talking about. Actually, I can just show you what I'm talking about here. These guys. So everybody on the flight in business class gets one of these little ceramic Delft houses. They have alcohol in it, which is slowly evaporating away. So 4 family members got 4 of these, and then the flight attendant, as I was leaving, shoved a package in my backpack when I was kind of not looking, but kind of looking, and was like, "Shh, don't tell anyone." I didn't know what she did, but she put 2 more of the houses in there just because I'd expressed how much I like them. Talking about Sweden, Source King says, no bathroom stalls in Sweden. We like our privacy. Yeah, you get a whole entire stall's not quite the right word. You get a whole thing to yourself. So yes, favorite flight was that KLM flight. And then enjoyed some warm nuts, a nice tall glass of milk. And it looks like the milk's at an angle. So I wonder if the plane is banking when I took this picture. Many of you have heard the story before, but being kind of a country bumpkin that I am, I wanted some milk. It wasn't warm milk. It was refrigerated milk to go with my nuts. And I was like, oh, that's really good milk. I'm going to eat it with, my whole meal and everything. And the glass wasn't very big. It's like maybe like the size of this medicine bottle. And so I kept running out. So I kept having to ask for refills. And they had like a half-gallon cart, and they'd pour, or not a half-gallon quart, like a quart, bigger than the school kind, but smaller than a half-gallon. And they'd keep pouring it out. And I said something to the flight attendant like, I don't mind, if you just want me to take the carton, I can drink from the carton. That doesn't really bother me. And she's like, oh, no, sir, you don't need to drink from the carton. We will gladly refill your glass every single time. It is no trouble at all. My wife was horrified, like, Doug, don't be a country bumpkin. Don't offer to drink from the carton. That sounds terrible. I'm like, sorry, I didn't want to have to do all that work. Doesn't bother me. So that was my favorite flight. The other thing is, I'm not sure if Spaithco's on board, but him and I both know this flight, unfortunately, no longer exists. KLM stopped flying out of Minneapolis a year or so after I took this flight, which is a huge bummer. Next, favorite unique transportation. Favorite unique transportation, Morgantown, West Virginia, public rapid transit, or maybe it's called personal rapid transit. I've mentioned this before, but this little yellow, like tiny train car that holds like 8 to 10 people, probably built in the 60s or 70s. You walk up to a machine, it's all automated, but it's like, 60s automation, like physical knobs and dials. You literally put in a quarter and then push the button for the stop you want to go to. And eventually one of these will come along, and anybody wanting to go to that stop gets on, and it's labeled, and it takes you to that stop and then lets you off. My understanding, although limited, is when they first built this, Robert Byrd was the senator from West Virginia, and he loved, pork projects. So he was always trying to bring money back to his state. And the federal government was wanting to test this kind of transportation system somewhere, and he lobbied for it to be built at the University of West Virginia, which actually makes sense because it's really hilly. So like a train wouldn't work. It had to be smaller. They thought maybe it would expand, and it didn't, but they still maintain it even though it's archaic technology. It was a lot of fun. I would love to do it again. Favorite tour or guided experience? Raymond. Raymond is the name of the tour guide, and this was at the Hereford Cathedral in Hereford, England. It might be pronounced Hereford. It's the same as the type of cattle, Hereford cattle. I think it's Hereford. Herefordshire is the historical county. And I don't know what it was. It was he was just very enthusiastic. He wore a sash, which makes it look more official. He just looks like a tour guide. And then very dry British humor. He kept telling jokes, and we were in a group of maybe 9, 10, 11 people. And it'd be like, the reason why the date of death on this tomb matches the date of death on this tomb is because when they carved this in the 1600s, the stonemason didn't know the date of death, so he looked over there and copied that guy. Well, no problem. That's just how we do things around here. And, British mumble laughing intensified. Everybody's like, ha, 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 ha. One of my teenage sons, I just asked him the other day, what was the tour guide's name? And he's always remembered it was Raymond. And he said, Raymond was the GOAT, because like normally I wouldn't even care about an old historical building. He made it exciting. And then the other thing that made it great was at the end of the tour, he just stood outside and was like, let me know if you have any questions. I'd be glad to answer them. And everybody else just said kind of thank you and walked away. But I'm like, okay, at least one of us has to ask a question. So being the history nerd that I was, I stood there with my wife and 2 kids and said, hey, there was something on the wall about the different priests. And you said that they were Norman priests, even though the Normans didn't come over the English Channel until 1066. And this was before then. He's like, oh, yes, lots of English relied on people from Normandy to get their priests. He's like, do you like historical things or something like that? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, come with me. And he took us on this like extra little like 20-minute private tour of this outdoor courtyard that you're normally not allowed to see because like the sextons and other church workers live there. But he's like, well, don't tell anyone, but I'm going to let you see this. So we got to see this little extra thing. And that was just epic. All right. We're going to catch up on comments here. Okay. Mike Newland says Canada. I don't remember what the question was, but glad you like Canada. Oh, you're probably just guessing at something. Texas Dog says, good morning, y'all. Is Dugroz having streaming issues or is it just me? I'm so sorry about that. I did have some glitches earlier. Mike says upstate New York. Yep, we were talking about that earlier. Sleepy Rod says, good to know Doug has all his hair. DM's laughing at the maple leaf thing. New Again says, I was not a Carpenters fan, but Karen Carpenter was a legit drummer and could sing at the same time. Respect. I agree. FTF test, foreign transaction fee test. FLX says, I live between Rochester and Syracuse. You up here too? Visiting my brother in Auburn. DM, he has a farm out in Moravia. Okay. DM, I was in Buffalo last night. These people talking about where they are. FLX as in Florida. Love it. FLX equals Finger Lakes. Ooh, I hadn't heard that before. Hey, go ahead and have your conversation over here. I'm not going to read every single comment. FLX says, my great Hilton redemption that I referred to earlier is for the resort in Skanelias. Skaneliatlis. Oh boy, I don't know how to pronounce that. Fox says, say that one more time. Country bumpkin. First I've heard that. Yeah, there's kind of an old-timey expression called country bumpkin, like a guy who lives out in the country is kind of a hick, missing some teeth, wears overalls, that kind of stuff. Okay, yeah, we're doing good. 70 people on board, a little on the low side, but click thumbs up and maybe more people come in. Don't forget, $1.49 super chat gets you 1,000 Dugroz points, which can be used for something. All right, back to the main event here. Excuse me. Lowering the fan, it was a little too cold. In 5, 4, 3. Lodging is the next category. Favorite high-end hotel stay. My favorite high-end hotel stay was the Salamander Resort in Middleburg, Virginia. So this is on the outskirts of Washington, D.C., about 45 minutes to the west of like the Dulles Airport. Very swanky, very nice. This is the only officially ranked 5-star hotel that I've ever stayed in. I've stayed in some 4-star hotels. I've stayed in a couple hotels that like were listed as 5-star on like Expedia, but like whoever officially does the rankings declaring you a 5-star hotel, this is the only one I've actually stayed in. I booked this with transfer from Citi and or Wells Fargo, and I'm not necessarily going to give you my redemption on all of them, but this is what it worked out to. It would have been $5,453 for both rooms. I would never pay that. That's like more than my annual utility and gas budget combined. But thanks to choice points, I was able to transfer those over. And on the choice end of things, all right, I got them transferred over. If you just look at the choice points, that works out to 1.65 cents per point. But since you can transfer from Wells Fargo and Citi at a 1-to-2 ratio, on the Wells Fargo or Citi side, that works out to 3.3 cents per point. And then remember, the Citi Strata card used to be the Citi Rewards Plus card, which gave you a 10% rebate. If you factor that rebate in, it's slightly better at 3.38 cents per point. So that was a fun redemption. My wife and I down there in the bottom right-hand corner enjoying our room. Well, that was the favorite high-end hotel stay. So how about favorite low-end hotel stay? And low-end doesn't mean like bad quality. It just means budget-friendly. That was the Hampton Inn in York, Piccadilly in the United Kingdom. And no transition there because it's a low-end hotel. We can't afford transitions. The images just appear. But yeah, this was in York in England, kind of the northern part of England. And cool old buildings, and they were all within walking distance. That one in the picture right here is called the Old Treasurer's House, which was interesting. Here's a picture of the front of the Hampton Inn. Kind of a standard room. We had the 2 connecting rooms. My wife and I had the king-size bed. The boys had twins beds. One of the reasons I really like Hilton's is, you can book guaranteed connecting rooms. And amazing breakfast down there at the bottom right corner. They have these big, thick, like English sausages, which hit the spot. The scrambled eggs were like real scrambled eggs, not I pour it out of a milk carton. Good quality orange juice that I don't know if it was homemade, but better quality orange juice than what we have at most hotels here in America. Felt homemade, whether or not it actually was. And then I put a picture of a hotel attendant in the top right-hand corner. That's AI generated. I didn't actually take a picture of the hotel attendant, but it was a young lady who looked a lot like this. She had glasses and brown hair, probably mid to late 20s, maybe early 30s. This was booked with my Aeroplan card, and I paid cash, actually my wife's Aeroplan card, for boom, pay yourself back. And the transaction kept failing. So I eventually had to book one room on the Aeroplan, one on Capital One, go upstairs, make several calls to Chase over the course of 2 or 3 days. I think we called Chase 3 times and finally got to go through. And the hotel staff was so friendly. They made every adjustment. I put like a few, $50 on my wife's business platinum card, triggered that Hilton credit. I put $50 on a Surpass card to trigger that credit. I ended up paying with like 3 different credit cards and having to make like 7 different transactions. And they were like, "It's no problem, Mr. Rose. We don't mind at all." And just super friendly. And I really appreciate a friendly staff. So that did help. Even on Google reviews, it's like 4.4, 4.5 stars, not like hotel stars, but just like, how good they did on Google reviews type stars. So yeah, there you go. Hampton Inn, York, Piccadilly, thumbs up. Oop, more lagginess there. Sorry about that. Favorite boutique or unique lodging? I could go a couple different ways with this. I already mentioned the Lundy Lodge in Wales, and that would probably be up there, but I didn't want to duplicate. So I tried to think of something I haven't mentioned yet. So favorite boutique or unique lodging goes to the Guest Suite in Accra. And for those of you in upstate New York, this was in upstate New York. If you go a little south and a little west of Albany, the mailing address is in the town of Accra, A-C-R-A, which is just a dot on the map, but it's actually out in the country. The nearest town is East Windham, W-I-N-D-O-M, but I thought it'd be funny to say I stayed at a Wyndham Airbnb. Get it? Wyndham. So yeah, it was called The Loft or Guest Suite in Accra, depending which label you went with. And it was just spring was in the air. Everything was blooming. These little purple flowers were everywhere. I had my own laundry machine. You kind of walk in that door to like a little entry room with laundry. Then you take another left through a locked door. There's an emergency exit to a different house to the right, which is another Airbnb. Didn't bother me at all. And then, I don't know, it just felt like really cozy. The picture of the bed was taken after dark, and it has wood paneling on the inside. It just feels like you're a lumberjack from the 1800s or something, living in your little cabin, but with electricity, running water, and air conditioning. And then the view out the back was, this view of the Adirondacks. I don't know, what's the mountain range in that general area? I mean, they're not gigantic mountains, but there were some nice small little mountains, and the weather was cooperative, and I sat on the porch eating my honey bunches of oats or whatever the cereal was, and it was just like, I like this. All right, we'll pause here and catch up on comments. I'm going to unplug my fan. Now I'm too cold. Yep. Okay. Robert Jarrell, Bumpkin, actually, how old are we? Well, I'm in my mid 40s. Tio Rico says, back from Pacific Mexican cruise. Hey, celebrate. That sounds pretty interesting. Filmo says, drat, I missed all the upstate New York talk. We can go back and read the comments. FLX says, I thought you were also from upstate New York. He is, I can confirm. DM, I'm from New York, but not that far upstate, Hudson Valley region. Filmo says, I'm only upstate by New York City standards, Binghamton area. And then we've got some more geography talk here. I'm glad that he's being welcomed in. And FLX says, upstate New York made it on the My Favorite Things travel edition. Yeah, you sure did. Congratulations. Source King says, would you recommend going a year without utilities for 3 nights at the Salamander? No. I'm a big fan of electricity and running water. I kind of like them. So I'll pass, but thanks for asking, Source King. Thank you so much to the 74 of you who have stayed on board here. All right, let's keep going here. Quick drink, quick blowing of the nose. Resuming. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Resuming in 5, 4, 3. Points and miles, nerd stuff. I think there's only 2 or 3 of these, but hey, let's get a couple in. So this is just the nerdy stuff that only us points and miles people would fully appreciate. Favorite points redemption. Now, just to clarify, this does not mean best points redemption. My best points redemption on paper was booking Virgin Atlantic Premium Economy, which was somewhere in the neighborhood of 13 cents per point. It's just one that I'm like, yeah, I like this. So a combination of not too expensive, boutique-y, unique, and reasonable value. So the winner is the aforementioned Lundy Lodge Castle View in Wales. Now, the picture taken was grabbed from the cottages.com website. Those of you who are into Wyndham a little bit knew about Vacasa, which was booking vacation rentals. Unfortunately, that went away. But their English equivalent, cottages.com, still exists. Same pricing structure and everything. 13,500 points per bedroom per night if you have one of the Wyndham cards. 15K if you don't. So if you do all the math, convert from English money to American money, the number of bedroom units, the number of points that it took, 108,000 points on the Wyndham side, and do all the math, that came out to 1.66 cents per point. So cents per point is pretty good, but also think of it this way. Earning Wyndham points is really easy because the Wyndham Earner business card gets 8 points per dollar spent at gas stations. Gas stations sell gas, Casey's Pizza. Sometimes you can get like a pork sandwich or tenderloin, but they also sell gift cards. And whether you do a Strategery type gift card or just an Amazon gift card or Taco Bell gift card, you can earn points pretty fast there. So if you do the math, 108,000 divided by 8, interestingly, you spend $13,500 and you get a free 4-night stay in this property. Like I said, last I checked, it's no longer on cottages.com, unfortunately, but it gives you the idea of what they have to offer. Favorite credit card perk that actually worked. Seems a touch obscure, but hey, when it came through, it came through. And that is using the Priority Pass feature on my US Bank Altitude Reserve, and specifically for Priority Pass restaurants, because the ability to use those is becoming fewer and fewer. I've used it, I think, twice all by myself, and then I've used it 3 times with my family, the whole family of 4. Washington, D.C. on the way out and on the way back, I used it once. And then that Priority Pass restaurant closed like 2 weeks later. And then in Manchester, United Kingdom, which is what's pictured here at a place called the Evergreen, we each got a meal. Me and the 2 boys got burgers. My wife got some sort of like toast, gluten-free toast with bacon, guacamole, some sort of thing. But yeah, that meal would have been close to $100, and it knocked off like $86. So I like saving money out of pocket, and that saved us money out of pocket. More recently, I used it when flying back from Galveston, in the Houston Bush Airport at a seafood place called Landry's. Got some crab dip. So yeah, save yourself. I think it's like $28-ish. In a foreign currency, it might be a little different, but around $28 per person. So I like that. All right, there was only 2 in that category. So I'll catch up on comments if there are any here. Filmo says, nerd stuff, nerd stuff, nerd stuff. Gentleman Explorer went to Binghamton, Florida. When are we, or FLX, when are we not talking about nerd stuff? Sam K from the UK is here. Hey, everyone. With YouTube, the notifications are screwed up. That's right. I've already had a few UK mentions. We talked about York. We talked about Wales. Hope you're doing well, Sam. Gentleman Explorer drops a $4.99 super chat. That's one way to feed the algorithm. Way to go, gentlemen. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much. I am still building my Lego castle. I got to put more work in on that. I guess there's more of us up here than I thought. Some more geography talk here. Go ahead and do that. That helps feed the algorithm. Let's see. Robert Jarrell already canceled my altitude reserve. Just made me mad to look at it. I get it, but when they threw a 10,000 point retention offer at me less than a month ago, I had no choice. Sam says my camera is highly pixelated. I'm so sorry about that. Either YouTube or my feed is having some quality issues here, and I apologize for that. Nothing I can do about that. FLX says the folks from upstate New York are really trying to help the algorithm for you, Dugroz. Thank you. I appreciate that. Keep on talking about Binghamton and Finger Lakes and Albany expressions, those kind of things. Steamed hams. LN330 says, I'm still trying to figure out if I can make the U.S. Bank altitude reserve makes sense to keep. The renewal is in July. I hear you. Oh, boy, let's all cross our fingers, knock on wood, and hope U.S. Bank gets their act together and tells us what those transfer partners are before we even get to July. Filmo used... I thought you've been a member for like 2 years, Filmo, but we'll celebrate anyway. Filmo's World became a member. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's just as good as a $3 super chat. Uh-oh, he says in all caps, I changed my card used to pay and my membership expired during the live stream. Oh, my word. I'm so sorry. Well, I will always know that you've been one of my very first members, whether or not there was a system issue or not. What's that famous clip online? There's some guy like talking to pro wrestling who says, it's real to me, darn it. Filmo as a 2-year member is real to me. All right. Some crazy Binghamton stories. That's like me telling crazy Atumwa stories. Small world. Yeah, Finger Lakes are gorgeous. I got to get up there someday. Of the Finger Lakes, what's the most well-known one? I don't know the names of any of them. I know Lake Champlain is a lake, but that's not a Finger Lake. That's over there by the border with Vermont. All right, diving back into the thematic stuff here. 5, 4, am I big screen? Yes. 5, 4, 3. Cool story, bro. So these don't really fit in any category. Just, I thought you might think it's a cool story. Favorite unexpected place. So this would be something you had no plans to visit, see, or do, but just on the spur of the moment, you went. And my favorite is the Royal Naval College in Greenwich, England. So Greenwich is, I guess you could say, a suburb of London, although maybe they call it a borough. I'm not sure what the terminology is. Sam, you can help me out if I'm getting that wrong. And basically back in like the 1600s, 1700s, this is where they trained naval officers. It's right there on the banks of the River Thames. And we went to Greenwich because it has the oldest foot tunnel that's still operational in London. So we walked under the river to the north bank, looked back to the south bank, and my wife was like, what's that building with the 2 domes? It just looks really cool. And I'm like, I don't know. Google Maps says it's the Royal Naval College. Oh, some sort of college. Well, It's not really a college anymore, but it started out as a training school for naval officers. Then it was used as a hospital for like people who were wounded in the Crimean War and that kind of stuff. And now it's more like a museum, although there's also a smaller fine arts college that rents space there. And inside, they have this beautiful picture on the ceiling. Some people call it the Sistine Chapel of England. It's called the Painted Ceiling, and it's when William and Mary were the royals, and he's stepping on the head of the King of France, painted as a caricature of like Satan or something like that. So I just thought that was really cool to see it and just stare up at the ceiling. We were actually going to go to the big cathedral in downtown London. I want to say Winchester Cathedral. That's not right. Westminster Cathedral, but we couldn't get there. We couldn't get tickets. So just spur of the moment, we decided to go there instead, to the Royal Naval College. And while there, one of the, I wouldn't say tour guides, one of the volunteers who just kind of hung out in the lobby and told stories, walked up to it, looked like an older lady. And she started telling us stories, and my wife was asking questions. Then she said, yeah, I remember World War II. I love Americans. And we're like, you remember World War II? Go on. She's like, yeah, I was 8 years old when World War II broke out. And she told us about how she had to like evacuate, but the last second her daddy decided to stay. And she remembers the American soldiers because they would give out free chocolate bars to all the kids. And I'm like, whoa, like you don't get that kind of history often. So that was a memory that we'll never forget. That was completely awesome and unexpected. Favorite cheap travel win. So what I'm looking for here is a combination of value and minimal points, or saving what would be a high cash rate. I've got a couple that I could choose from. One is I flew into the St. Louis airport and got a Wyndham hotel that I think was 15,000 points, but the cash rate was up around 400 or something like that, because Wyndham has these weird static tiers. But instead, I decided to go with this one, the Country Inn in Charlottesville, Virginia. A few Aprils ago, I flew in there, tiny little airport. That's the home of the University of Virginia. And for some reason, all the hotels, even the low and mid-range ones, were super expensive that weekend. This one was $546 if you book through Choice Hotels. There were others like, Hampton Inns and Holiday Inns and just low and mid-range hotels, 500, 600, 700, even up into the 800s for one night. And I'm like, what in the world? Well, I found out that there was a home softball game for the University of Virginia that day, and it was senior night. So, of course, all the grandmas and moms and dads are coming in to watch their senior play in their last game, and prices went way up. But the Choice Hotels price didn't really move a lot. It hung out right there at 20,000 points. That's 2.73 cents per point on the Choice side. But remember, transferring from Citi or Wells Fargo 1 to 2, so that comes out to 5.46 cents per point on the Citi side. And not only it is a really good cents per point for a hotel, it was also just not that many points. I mean, 10,000 Citi points or Wells Fargo points or a combination, there's a lot of Hyatts that are more expensive than that. So good, cheap, good quality, cheap win. Favorite small town. Oh, there's a lot that I could choose from. A lot. I love small towns. I mean, don't get me wrong. We liked our time in London. We liked our time in Washington, D.C., but I am a small town guy. The winner is Trefu, Wales. So a lot of Wales talk, but hey, it earned it. So this was our more recent trip. It's kind of hard to see, but if you look right down between the tree and the bush, right here, there's a town kind of at the bottom of a hill. And in fact, in Welsh, Trefu means hill town or the town on the hill. Checks out. Probably about population 500 to 700, just very quaint. You can see some shops in the picture on the right here. And then they've got a freaking waterfall in town, right there in the middle of town. It's called Fairy Falls. And y'all know how much I like waterfalls. Our lodging was just about a mile outside of town, but we went in there for eating to see the waterfall. They had a woolen mill, like where they make sweaters and hats and stuff. And it was just It was just awesome. It's like Chris Farley interviewing people back in the 90s. Do you remember when we went to Wales and saw the little town on the hill? Yeah, I remember that. That was awesome. Yeah, it was. Favorite, why did I stop here detour? I don't even remember what I picked for this one. Oh, yeah, in the town of Thomas, West Virginia. So, yeah, I like Wales and I like West Virginia. I guess maybe they have some things in common. I actually stayed one night at a tiny house Airbnb in this town. So I stopped there to stay in the Airbnb, but it was kind of like up on the hill further. There was really no reason for me to drive to the downtown street, which was right next to a river and some railroad tracks. But I'm like, I just want to check out this town. I like small towns. I just want to see what it's like. And I was driving by this building here. I think it calls Merchants Bank is what it's called. And it used to be a bank, but it's not a bank anymore. It was purchased by a man or a woman or a couple that made it into a game store. So they sell like board games, war games, nerd games, Dungeons and Dragons type stuff, role-playing games, let's all LARP and put on our costumes. Not that you have to. That kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'll go in and look around. And it wouldn't have been that big of a deal, except they had a doggy. They have a dog that lives in the store. And it's the kind of dog that's okay with you petting it. And I don't know why. I just really liked petting the dog. It was very soft and fluffy. And on the left picture, she looks like she's terrified. But don't worry. She was very happy to be petted after, a couple seconds of the initial shock of seeing this weird guy from Iowa. And next up is favorite view from a random parking lot. This was in Kaiser, West Virginia, or maybe it's pronounced Kaiser. I'm not really sure. This is driving from West Virginia back into Virginia. Big winding roads, and I just hit this random spot, and there was like a pullover, not even labeled, I don't think, or maybe it just said scenic view with like 10 parking spots. And you can just look out the window, and it was just super scenic. In fact, the pictures don't really do it justice, but like no plan to stop there. There's really nothing to do. Just like, hey, look at the land. And I did. And it was great. Favorite random roadside attraction. I love random monuments, graves, presidents' graves. That's not really random, but all kinds of little, here's the grave of the 7th oldest man who fought in the Civil War, that kind of thing. And the winner is the Robert Wadlow statue in Alton, Illinois. Alton is a suburb or bedroom community for St. Louis, but it's on the Illinois side of the river, so it's actually in Illinois. Robert Wadlow lived back in the 19 teens, 20s, 30s. I think he died in 1940, it says. He's the tallest man in recorded modern history. I think he was pushing 8 feet tall, something like that. He had a disease that made him grow too fast, so he died like in his 20s. But that's the town he was from, so they had a statue of him there, and I've actually been there at least 3 times in my life, maybe 4. The first was when I was in college. I was in a college singing group, and we went through town, so we saw the statue. Don't have any pictures, but I've been there twice, once on the way to something, I don't remember what it was, and then another time on the way to see the solar eclipse that we had a couple years ago. So I like it. Chat time. All right, that's the end of my part. What's your favorite travel moment? Favorite small town, favorite random attraction that you didn't plan to see, random monument? Hit me with your best story for any of these unique, cool story, bro, or that kind of stuff. Thank you for hanging in there. I appreciate it. All right, let's catch up on comments, and then I have an announcement, and then I have the community tab questions. Where were we? Okay. Welcome back, Filmo's World. The middle finger is his favorite of the Finger Lakes. Okay. And okay, Sam says GMT was set in Greenwich. There's a timeline there, Greenwich Mean Time. Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't take the time to walk up to the Royal Observatory and see the ball drop. That would have been good. We didn't get there in time. FLX says the best two lakes based on things to do, in my opinion, are Seneca Lake and Cayuga Lake. Letchworth State Park and Watkins Glen State Park are off the chain. Special parks indeed. QC Man says St. Paul's. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. I apologize. QC Man gifts 1 Dugroz Reports membership. Celebrate. Just as good as a super chat for $3. Thank you. Gentleman Explorer gives $1.99 to the Lego Castle Expedite Fund. Celebrate. Yeah, we've been sitting at 1 segment out of 7 for since Christmas, haven't we? I apologize for that. I'll get to work on that. Thank you. Close friend, very serious New York City lawyer, just moved full-time to Ithaca. Miracles of technology. Sam says, never dream of waterfalls, rivers, or rain. That's what you call a wet dream. I thought you were going to say, don't go chasing waterfalls. But FLX says, lots of waterfalls near Ithaca College. I believe he was 8'11", talking about Robert Wadlow. Okay, I said almost 8 feet. I probably should have said almost 9 feet. Thank you for the correction there. They've got a duplicate comment here. That's no problem. QC Man says, I remember the Robert Wadlow picture from the Guinness Book of World Records my parents bought in the late 80s. I think that's where I first saw it, too. I had some sort of record book for like tallest man, fattest man, conjoined twins, those kind of things. Samuel Benton said, I went on a rip trip to Utah last year, solo road trip type of thing. I stopped in this small town in southern Utah called Kanab and went to this little cafe for dinner and had the best steak I've ever had. That's the kind of story I want to hear. Source King says, no favorite parking lot? What a snub. Was the winner too obvious? I know what you're referencing. It was called Kanab, Utah. Spencer Johnson is 9'2". Okay. QC Man says, my favorite thing, girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that land on my nose and eyelashes. Oh, wait, that's not what you meant. Okay. Brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. Now I've got it stuck in my head. Thanks, QC Man. Appreciate that. All right. Caught up on comments. Announcement time. Announcement. So my spring 2026 RIP trip has been finalized and chosen. Guess where I'm going based on this presentation? What do you think it is? Here's a clue. Got a couple bridges. Do these look familiar? On the left, it looks like a suspension bridge. On the right, it looks like a stone arch bridge. Yes, I'm going back to West Virginia. Take me home, country roads. On the left is the Wheeling, West Virginia suspension bridge. Very historic, very famous. It was actually built slightly before the Civil War, and it still exists. Unfortunately, it's closed to traffic because some idiot bus driver drove over it, and he wasn't supposed to a few years ago. Last time I went, about 3 years ago, I tried to walk across it, but it's a see-through bridge, just like a metal grate. And I chickened out. I got about 10% of the way across and couldn't do it. It was raining, so that's my excuse. So I'm going to try to go back and do it again. If somebody wants to be my accountability or encouragement buddy and go with me, we're talking the last full weekend in April. So somewhere around April 24th, 25th, I will be there. On the right, this is actually in Maryland, the panhandle of Maryland that kind of protrudes into West Virginia. That's called the Castleman River Bridge, one of the prettiest bridges. I like bridges. I like waterfalls. And then here's some more stuff that I might do. Maybe I'll go through Morgantown again and see the personal rapid transit. That was fun. Maybe I'll see Blackwater Falls on the top right again. And then a couple of new things. So I'm actually going to go to, unless plans change, the town of Marietta, Ohio, which is just across the river from West Virginia. And that will be, again, unless plans change, on Saturday the 25th. So if you're in the area of Marietta, Ohio, and you want to drive there and meet me on Saturday, April 25th for an evening meal, there's a lot of restaurants right there along the riverfront. The reason why that's exciting for me is because I read a book called The Pioneers by David McCullough Marietta is the oldest town in Ohio, and it's actually the oldest town in all of the original Northwest territories of the United States. So we're talking founded in like the very late 1700s, lapping into the early 800s, and some of the locations in the book still exist. So I want to check that out. And then bottom right, there's a waterfall I've never been to. It's actually in Pennsylvania, but I'll be flying into Pittsburgh, and it's kind of in that way southwest part of Pennsylvania. It's called Ohio Pile or Ohio Lippy or something like that. I don't know how it's pronounced. That's supposed to be gorgeous in the spring, so I'm going to try my best to check that out as well. So if you think about right where West Virginia, Maryland, Ohio, and Pennsylvania all kind of meet, kind of southwest of Pittsburgh, that's the area that I'm going to. I've been there a couple times. That's just a beautiful area in the spring, and I really like it. So I'm going to be traipsing about. Let me know. I was thinking about doing like a Dugroz Reports meetup, but I was like, I'm going to be on the move too much. But if you want to do like a mini meetup and just, catch me in Marietta for a meal on Saturday night, send me a private message or something along those lines. QC Man clarifies that Spencer's actually 9'4". QC Man thought I might be going to Mount Rushmore. That's a good guess, but no. And YouTube Experiments here, driving home from work, listening to it. Awesome. Thank you for your support. All right, and I'll give you a full report when I get back from West Virginia. Now, let us go to the community tab questions. So every Friday, usually somewhere between, let's say 5-7 p.m., something like that, I post on the community tab on YouTube. And if you seek out my channel, you can find it there. Sometimes YouTube prompts you. A picture. In addition to picture, you can ask me anything you want. So the idea is guess where the picture is taken, or just ask me a question that you want to ask me. And here is the picture right there. Oh, not that one. This one. It's me standing next to some sort of picture of something. I call this picture World's First Podcast. So these are two guys clearly talking into a microphone, doing a podcast back in the 1500s or something like that. But you're supposed to guess where that picture was taken. If you want to go over to the comments, make a guess, you can. I know Sam says I can only go up to 720p. I don't know why, because my camera can handle 1080, but if I do that, I have a lot more drops and quality issues. And let's face it, no one is here to see what my face looks like in great high quality detail. So we're going to roll with 720 for the time being. But thank you for asking. I appreciate that. All right, community tab questions here. We got a lot of good guesses. Luke D. Johnson wants to know this. Dugroz, what's your favorite 2 to 3 card setup for someone who wants to maximize travel rewards without juggling too many cards? So right now, I am going really simple, and I'm going with a city-heavy setup. I'm going with a city. I haven't actually got it yet, but any day now, I'm going to be doing a product change. A city double cash, a city strata card, either the elite or premier, and the custom cash. So those three put together would be my 3-card setup for somebody who wants to maximize travel. As long as you have a double cash or custom cash, you can cash out your points if necessary. And then we've got American, we've got choice hotels, we've got preferred hotels. Came up frequently in this live stream today, and hopefully that helps you understand why. Bob Travels made a guess, and then he has a question. Bob's guess was this. You were at the Philadelphia Museum of Art running up the stairs and doing the Rocky Balboa dance. Afterwards, you're going to the Reading Terminal for a Philly cheesesteak and some Amish baked goods for dessert. It's probably Reading. Reading Railroad in America, Reading over in England. No, this is not taken in Philadelphia, Bob, but I liked the details. I would do the Rocky theme. If I'm ever in Pennsylvania, I'm going to run up the stairs and do this. I'm guessing everyone and their brother does the same thing, but hey, why not? And then Bob's serious credit card question. You just got out of prison after 15 years. What's your first meal, and what credit card are you going to use to pay for it with? A couple people answered on their own. Eduardo Vargas says In-N-Out, and it's going to be Amex Gold for 4X on food or groceries. I'm pigging out. Alex A2511 says dinner at the French Laundry, paying with the City Strata Elite during city nights for 6X. Awesome. Didn't Gavin Newsom get in trouble, the governor of California, because during the COVID lockdowns, he told everyone don't leave your home, but he went to lunch with a bunch of friends at a place called the French Laundry. I think it was in either San Francisco or LA, one of the two. So that's what came to my mind when I saw that, but it's probably a really good restaurant. Okay, what's my first meal after getting out of prison? There is a Mexican restaurant here in Des Moines, and I'm not going to say the name of it because it would give away the specific suburb I live in. I don't want to do that. But they have a dish that is pollo or chicken. It's like pollo Eduardo or something like that. And it's basically just seasoned chicken with some shredded cheese on it, drowning in a cheese sauce, sauteed mushrooms, optional onions. I don't take the onions. Get that with some sour cream, some fresh tortillas, some Spanish rice, and hits the spot. So pollo Eduardo is what I will be eating for my first meal out of prison. And in terms of what I'm going to pay for it with, well, if it's right now, I'm going to be using my Chase Freedom Flex because I'm getting 7X on dining. Otherwise, if it's a Friday or Saturday night, I'll use my Strata Elite. If you get caught eating lunch in New York City. Nope, it's after 6 p.m. Eastern time, so I get 6X. And if it's none of those things, I'll just put it on my Citi Strata Elite or Citi Premier and get 3X and say good enough. Or maybe my Capital One Saver. That'd be fine too. I'm not going to worry about the extra 1X too terribly much. Luke Johnson says, Dugroz, if you could keep only one travel card for the next 10 years, what would it be and why? Does the Citi Strata Premier count as a travel card? That's what I'm going with. 3X on gas, dining, groceries. The transfer partners are right. It has some travel protections, even though they're not great. And it's only $95 a year. So that's what I would roll with. Thank you for asking. Nick wants to know if this is at the J. Paul Getty Museum. I don't know what that is. And ask this question. With Citi's recent it's not. This is not the J. Paul Getty Museum. With Citi's recent restriction on transferring thank you points, how does that affect your Citi strategy? It doesn't affect it at all because my wife doesn't have any Citi cards right now. Other than her getting Citi cards will not be much of a priority in the near future. So not that big of a deal for me. Let me catch up on comments here. Okay. Already went over that one. QC Man wants me to not go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. LN330 said, I did a rip trip to Florida this winter. Basically, I just sat by the pool at the resort and enjoyed that it was 70 degrees warmer than back home in Michigan. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Sam says 1080p quality is best for live streaming. I can only go to... Oh, we already read that one. I'm sorry. As it relates to my timing for going to West Virginia and Maryland, Source King says, that's unfortunate. I'll be in the land of supreme bathroom privacy on April 25th. Wish I could join you there, but hey. QCMS says St. Paul's was a guess for the name of the cathedral you wanted to visit in London. Oh, okay, thank you. Interesting story. So I was thinking of Westminster Cathedral, but St. Paul's is another cathedral that is pretty big. You can see it from a distance. And I think it got bombed during World War II. And that same elderly woman who was a kid during World War II said, I remember being over here in Greenwich and we could go up on a hill and in the distance see St. Paul's Cathedral on fire during World War II. Jason YT46 says, my wife's entire family is from Marietta, Ohio, small town. I've been about 3 times, mostly short visits to see elderly family members or when one was in the hospital. Wish I had something to add to help. Well, if you happen to be there the last weekend in April, send me a message. QC Man wants to know which card is being product changed to the double cash. Probably one of my... I was going to say one of my custom caches, but no, I changed my mind on that. I think I'm going to make it my Strata card. Not Strata Elite, just the plain old Strata. Yes, I'll be giving 1X on gas up, not giving up anything on dining, not giving anything up on grocery. But I think I would have enough 2X use cases that I'd get a lot better use out of that versus the 1.5 on the CSE. Filmo says, I've seen high-res Dugroz. He's very Fabio-esque. Well, hopefully I don't get hit in the face with a bird while riding on a roller coaster. Mike says, let's say Spanish is not your first language, Dugroz. You got me there, Mike. Source King says 6x at French Laundry gets you what, 15,000 points? I guess it's expensive then, huh? Tony Byer is here. How you doing? Hey, everyone. Don't think we've met before, Tony. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Click the thumbs up button if you've not yet done so. All right. I've got a few more of these community tab questions. Then I have a couple very brief screenshots on something related to my upcoming RIP trip, and then we'll be done for the day. Scott S. says this. I've been thinking about maximizing Chase earnings for 1.65x. Pay yourself back on the Aeroplan card, what I call the Aeroplan Caravan. Would you share with us, or maybe just members, some of your strategies for maximizing the Freedom quarterly credits? Yes, happy to, Scott. So there are different strategies. There is just common sense spending. There is strategic spending. And then there is manufactured spending. And somewhere in that fuzzy line between 2 and 3 is where what we call strategery. So I will talk about the common sense. I will talk about the strategic spending, but I won't talk about strategery here. That's members only content. I have a couple older videos on that topic, and I should be making one sometime before July on that topic too. So you can join as a Dugroz diehard, only $3 a month, cancel anytime if you want that kind of content. In fact, I have a members only video about artificial intelligence that just came out earlier this week. It's kind of about artificial intelligence. So right now, I'm putting all of my dining spend on my Freedom Flex because it is getting 5x from the special category, and it always gets an extra 2x, just the way it code right there. So just to prove that it's in my wallet, putting it back in my wallet here. There we go. So that's just common sense thing. Obviously, if the category is drugstores or something like that, go buy drugs. Don't do drugs, kids. I mean prescriptions. That kind of thing. When the category is grocery, buy your groceries. That's how you can maximize it. Wait for that transfer bonus, which is usually twice a year with Aeroplan, and boom, 1.625 cents per point. Strategic spending, if you have the Chase Inc. business cash, all you have to do is wait until Staples or Office Max, Office Depot has prepaid Visa and MasterCard gift cards on sale with no purchase fee. Buy some of those and use it to pay for things you would normally pay for, such as utility bills, such as donations to your church or charitable organization of choosing. Those are two of my favorite. I don't like to carry them around, and I don't want to use it on like a durable good where I might have to make a return, but on something like a donation or utility bill where there's really no reason to get a refund, that's a good use case for those. If you eat at Taco Bell a lot, you know, when the Freedom Flex has 5x on gas stations, buy a Taco Bell gift card at your gas stations and use that strategically. Thanks for asking, Scott. That's kind of a good topic that I might revisit some other time. All right, now we've got people taking a guess on the picture of the week here, and multiple people got this one correct. Luke D. Johnson said, National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. The painting is Giovanni Borgherini and his tutor, attributed to the Italian Renaissance artist Giorgione. And then Mike Newland says Giovanni Borgherini was a quiet Florentine banker who was secretly obsessed over airline points and miles, believing the real Renaissance was redeeming business class for the price of coach. One night while polishing his ledger, his mysterious tutor showed him the ancient art of stacking transfer bonuses and portal earnings, turning a modest pile of points into a first-class journey across the Atlantic. He took Virgin Atlantic back when they only had boats. By sunrise, Giovanni realized that Medici had built palaces with gold, and he would build his empire with miles. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. That was a slight AI assist, he admitted. That was awesome. Let's see. Did anybody else guess it? David William said Giovanni Borgherini and his tutor, 1505 oil canvas painting, which is now housed in Washington's National Gallery of Art. So yes, you were all correct. Luke Johnson, Mike Newland, and David William. You all get 1,000 Dugroz points. There you go. Thank you so much. And I don't think anybody else guessed it correctly. So yeah, that is a painting that is, I guess, kind of famous. I saw it at the National Gallery of Art, thought it was funny because it has the two guys doing the world's first podcast. Here's a picture of it up close. And here is the YouTube article that says it was an oil painting in 1505 or circa 1505, attributed to the artist Giorgione. I'm not Italian either. Anybody can help me out with the pronunciation. And it's called Giovanni Borgherini and His Tutor. So it's a teenage guy and his tutor learning about something, most likely points and miles, like Mike said. Travel fan 111 became a YouTube member. Celebrate. Thank you, Travel Fan 11. I really appreciate that. I hope you enjoy those member-only videos just as good as a super chat for $3. Travel Fan says, do you know if Chase enforces 524th Aeroplan card applications? I don't know the answer to that. I know lots of people have gotten co-branded cards while over 520 before. I've never tried it, so I can't say with certainty. I apologize. Sam says, people can share hype. It's a new YouTube feature to spread the message more. Oh, yeah. If you have under 5,000 subscribers, I think it's only on phones. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's a button down there called the hype button, which some people have. Click the hype button, and it'll tell YouTube, like, hey, let's show this to more people. Thank you. QC Man says, groceries, utilities, or gift cards for Amazon or iTunes are a good use for the Chase Inc. Cash app. Yes, they sell Amazon gift cards, iTunes, I think all of those things at Staples. Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate it. All right, the two last things I was going to point out here are, one is just a mention, and one is asking for help. This is a screenshot for when I'm going to West Virginia. I had some Southwest travel funds, $143 specifically. So I booked a one-way flight, subtracted that out, and it only cost $74. So that was pretty good. Put that on my Chase Sapphire Reserve because I want the travel protections. Getting 4X on that. So finally got to use those stupid travel funds I'd left over. My wife used to have a business platinum. I used to have one. I think she had it twice. I had it once. And for a while, for the airline incidental credit, we were buying cheap Southwest flights. If it's under $99.99, it usually triggered that back when they let you cancel and keep those credits forever. But gonna get them used up now. Philmo says, can I still convert Dugroz points into pork chops? Only at Bennigan's. So good luck with that. QC clarifies Ink Cash hack, not app. We all knew what you meant. Thank you. And then the other thing I was going to share or ask for help on, here is a picture of a boutique vacation home in Western Maryland, close to the West Virginia border. And it's called the only Frank Lloyd Wright inspired vacation rental of its kind in America. So this is based on a Frank Lloyd Wright home. It's not an actual Frank Lloyd Wright home. It works out for me perfectly in terms of location, but it doesn't work out for me perfectly in terms of the dollar amount, because it would be 79,000 Capital One miles or $797. And this property is listed in multiple places. It's actually listed on Vacasa. And if Wyndham hadn't stopped their arrangement with Vacasa, I would be booking this right now with Wyndham points because it was pretty reasonable. It's also available on Airbnb, on Vrbo, the Capital One travel portal, and it's available through Marriott Homes and Villas. So if anybody can tell me a hack for how to book this in a way where I'm not paying a penny per point or I'm not just paying cash, please let me know. I don't really want to use my Aeroplan card because that would be a lot of points. It would be, by the way, the prices vary a little bit. On Capital One Travel, it's $797. On Vacasa, it's closer to like $725. I think on Marriott Homes and Villas, it's over $800. I think on Airbnb, it's over $800. So yeah, I don't want to blow, what would that be? It would be, let's say, 80,000 points if it was 1 penny per point. 80,000 divided by 1.25, 64,000. Yeah, I don't want to use 64,000 Aeroplan points on this because I need to save that for other stuff like the Hoover Dam parking lot, those kind of things. I've got a lot of usage coming up. So if anybody knows like a good strategy, I have 3 free night certificates with Marriott from when I picked up the Bonvoy Boundless. Unfortunately, you can't use free night certificates on homes and villas. Stink. Unfortunately, you can earn Marriott points on homes and villas, but you can't redeem them. So given I've got 3, 4, 5-ish free night certificates hanging out there that need to be used up, I just can't quite swallow spending almost $800 cash equivalent or 65,000 Aeroplan points. So if somebody thinks of an answer, put it in the comment section down below. If you're watching this after the fact, send me a private message on Discord, whatever. I would love to stay in this property because it's the right spot. It's the right kind of property. It's the kind that I absolutely adore, but it's just too stinking expensive. All right. Well, let me go through and mention everyone who helped support the channel today. Xavier celebrated 19 months of membership. Let me change the screen here. Ian celebrated 16 months of membership. Robert Jarrell became a new member for the second time. Mike Newland celebrated 12 months of membership. LN330 donated Pi 3.14. Tom Graber gave a membership. That's $3. George Rommel donated $1.49 and triggered 1,000 Dugroz points. Mike Newland, my benefactor, came in strong like he almost always does and donated 20 Dugroz Reports memberships. Filmo celebrated 28 months of membership. Then while the channel was going, his card expired and he became a new member. So thank you. Hey, I appreciate your loyalty. John gifted 1 Dugroz Reports membership, just as good as a $3 super chat. Kevin P., while watching on a plane, donated $5. Vincent celebrated 18 months of membership. Gentleman Explorer donated $4.99. QC Man donated another membership. Gentleman Explorer donated an additional $1.49 to the, $99 to the Lego Expedition Fund. And Travel Fan 11 became a new member, which we all appreciate it. Source King says the Hoover Dam Parking Lot Memorial Foundation thanks you for the mention. Glad to hear about it. Well, thank you for everyone who stayed on board. Click the like button on your way out, and we'll wrap it up there. If you are watching after the fact, if you're watching this on replay and you have not yet made a comment, please make a comment. You can just put vacation in the comments. You don't have to say anything else. Thank you so much, everyone. And as always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Thanks.